Hi everybody. Today I'm walking the 32.5 miles along the Chesterfield Canal. And I'm walking from Kiverton Park to the River Trent. Now I'm not going to do this all in one go. A couple of reasons. I can't walk that far in one day. I could have done it one time, but not now. And I can't camp at the side of the canal. People would get quite upset if I did. Now the canal does extend all the way to Chesterfield. That's why it's called the Chesterfield Canal. But one of the tunnels collapsed. And it was a very long tunnel, about 1.25 miles. And that collapsed, I believe it was 1905. It did last quite a while. The canal was opened in 1777. So the canal has been open quite a good while. But anyway, I'm doing a walk along the canal, and I'll probably go from Kiverton Park to just the other side of Workshop today. We'll see how my knee holds up. I've got a bit of a damaged knee at the moment, so we'll see how my knee holds up. And if my knee's okay, I shall walk all the way to just the other side of Workshop, where there's a big viaduct, a railway viaduct going over the top of the canal. If not, I'll probably stop at Shire Oaks and then walk the short distance home. Well, it's not short distance, about a mile, but never mind. But either way, I'm going to walk along this canal. Now, it's commonly known as the Cuckoo Wharf. And according to the Chesterfield Canal Society, the footpath is in good condition the full length. At the moment, just here, because we're at the edge of Kiverton, it does get a lot of traffic, so there are places where it's really muddy and makes the going a bit hard, or makes it a bit hard going. And other places it's not too bad. So anyway, as we come across anything of any interest, I will stop, take a few photos and let you see it. Let's crack on a little bit, shall we?
At the moment we're about a quarter of a mile from where the bridge has collapsed on the canal, and if you have a look, there's a sign here that says no boats beyond this point. You can't turn your boat around if you go past this point. So this is effectively the end of the canal for boaters.
This bit of the canal is, well, the scenery is not very good. There's high embankments on both sides, as you can probably tell. So you don't get a very good view of the countryside. Lots of cyclists coming up and down. Don't go for a swim.
Thank you.
Lots of cyclists going up and down, and a lot of people walking about as well. But as I get further out of Kiverton, there's going to be less and less people, and it's going to be that little less soggy, I'm hoping, underfoot, because there's not that much traffic. The interesting information about this part of the canal is there's a lot of locks. We're fairly high here, and we're going to descend, I think it's about 150 feet or something, through a series of locks. So if you're in a canal boat, or any other kind of boat on the canal here, a lot of hard work getting in and out and opening sluice gates and opening locks and everything else. But it does make it a little bit more interesting.
I've now walked about a mile down the canal, and we're 14 3/4 of a mile from Chesterfield. The towpath swaps over at Kiverton Park railway station to the other side. So we'll go over this bridge, and very shortly I shall be on the other side of the canal, just to confuse you.
This bridge that I've just gone over is at the side of Kiverton Park railway station. And the railway station was, or the railways was the thing that killed the canal. The canal did work until, I believe it was the early 60s. And it was initially built to carry steel and stuff from Chesterfield and coal from all the local coal mines, of which we shall be going past one today where I used to work, and that was Shire Oaks Colliery. But there's loads and loads of old coal mines along this stretch of the canal.
Sorry, mate.
It's all right, no worries.
Thank you.
Just don't go for a swim. Yeah, there's loads and loads of old coal mines along here, and loads of old cottages and things at the side of the canal, which makes it quite interesting. There's a sign here which I will take a photo of, and you'll be able to get a little bit more information about the canal. There you go. Well, I'm nearly 2.5 miles into this walk now, and we've got out of the heavily populated area, but there's still a lot of people about, which surprised me. I didn't expect there to be this many people. We've come out of the cutting. How you doing?
Thank you.
But we've come to an area where to the right hand side it's heavily wooded, reasonably flat. It does go uphill, and to the left, until I got to this bit of a footbridge here, was fields off to the left. And if you can see through the brambles and everything over there, it is still farmland. Very beautiful, very tranquil. A lot different to the walk I did around Clumber Park. The footpath, I should say, is getting quite good underfoot. It's not as muddy and slushy as it was, but there are less people about. There we go. So it is wooded off to the left now. We've left the fields again. But yes, it's very nice, very peaceful, and it's definitely an enjoyable walk if you decide you want to have a wander and go walk about. Oh, just coming to a series of locks now. We're now going to start descending. We've got 2 in quick succession here, and they're fairly deep locks as well. If you look at the photos, you'll be able to see exactly what I'm talking about. So we're coming to another series of locks now, and as you can see from the photos and videos, there's quite a bit of repair work being carried out on one of the locks. There was a sign further back saying the footpath was closed, and I'm really glad it isn't. Otherwise I would have had to take a detour, which would have how can I put it, buggered the whole point of the video up. The point of the video is to walk from Thorpe Salvin to the River Trent. That you can negotiate, or that bit of the canal that you can negotiate with a boat. And like I say, the canal does carry on at the other side near Chesterfield, but that's all landlocked with the collapse of the tunnel. They are talking about not repairing the tunnel, but reinstating the canal and joining it up. There's about, I think it's 7 miles that needs to be done. But a lot of work, a lot of money and a lot of planning. Will it ever happen? I don't know. I'm just arriving at Shire Oaks now, which is it's really the first populated area since leaving Kiverton. I've walked 4 miles So not done bad so far, and I plan to carry on the rest of the journey just to the other side of workshop. My knee seems to be holding up okay at the moment. Might give me some jip when I finish, but there you go. Right, let's go across this road now.
As you can see, knocking about, there's one or two nice properties right on the edge of the canal. If you like water and you like canals, it must be an ideal place to live in one of these little bungalows.
Now behind me, I don't know if you can see it, is quite a large hill that's covered in trees. It's a man-made hill, and it is Shiro's pit tip. Now what's pit tip? Pit tip is where you used to tip all the spoils that wasn't coal that came out of the coal mine. So from sinking the shaft and all the other soil that, or not soil, but rock and muck and gunk that came up the pit that wasn't usable coal. They used to have to dump it, and that's a massive, great big pit tip. And the whole country around here is spotted with them. There's loads and loads around here. In fact, I did a video on one of my other channels, and it was specifically about Shiro's colliery. I'll leave a link to it up here. I think it's this side. Anyway, I'll leave a link to it somewhere, and if you're interested, you can have a look at it. So we're almost into workshop now. We'll be coming into well, we're going past Rhodesia, a little village called Rhodesia. They don't call it Zimbabwe when the country changed names, but it's Rhodesia, spelt the same, etc. And it's a mining village, or used to be a mining village, where all the coal miners used to work. They didn't work there, sorry, where the coal miners used to live. And then the coal board sold them off to the people that lived in them if they wanted to buy them. Those that didn't buy them, the council bought and used them as council properties. So anyway, very shortly we will soon be in workshop, and there's one or two interesting things there that I will show you as we're going along. As you can probably tell, there's quite a bit of traffic noise now. The road behind me, going over that bridge, is the A57. Now the A57 runs from Lincoln through Workshop, through Sheffield, through Manchester, all the way to Liverpool. Oh, hello! Oh, there it goes. So as you can imagine, it's a fairly busy road. We'll soon be at a pub called the Lockkeepers, which is not an old pub, even though the name would imply that. It's a fairly new pub, and just the other side of the A57 there's like McDonald's and Sainsbury's and all that kind of malarkey. So we are coming into quite a populated area now. This is the edge of Workshop. I've walked 5.5 miles now according to my Garmin, and my watch says I've done 5.27 miles, which is right, I don't know, who cares. Yeah, this area of the canal is a lot better maintained than that up at the other end where I first started. There's a lot more people walk up and down here. It's a lot better populated area. We've got proper hard footpaths instead of mud and sludge. So yeah, it is quite pleasant walking. It's okay with, or I should say, it's okay for people with push chairs and wheelchairs and all that kind of stuff up and down here. but there might be one or two steps and things that you have to negotiate. The towpath has swapped sides, so we started off on this side, then we swapped to the other side of the canal, and then we're back on this side of the canal again, just to keep you confused. We're getting very close to Worksop Town Centre now, and even though the towpath and the footpath is very, very good underfoot, there's loads of rubbish all over. You know, you pass some places that are quite pleasant, and then you get to other places where people have just dumped all sorts of bloody rubbish all over the place. It's disgusting, really. We're now coming around the back of Worksop Cricket Club and their caravan site. It's a very nice caravan site, actually. I don't know how expensive it is to stop on here, but there's always people here. It's always open, or seems to be anyway. So, very soon you'll hear all the traffic as we start going through the town centre and past the shopping centre, although I must admit most of the shopping centre is closed due to lockdown and COVID. Crazy if you ask me, but there you go. And had a relative that's got COVID and died from it. Over to the left hand side, you can probably see in the distance a church. That's St John's Church. I was christened there when I was a baby. Oh, 10, 12 years ago. And that's what they call Sand Hills Lake behind, which is an old quarry. But it's full of water now, and fishermen and all that kind of stuff. We used to go swimming in there when we were kids. I wouldn't go swimming in there now, though.
We're coming into the centre of Worksop now, and these two photos show you what is known as Dock Road, which is where all the docks used to be in Worksop for loading and unloading all the canal barges. This next building is, I believe, an old Granary Store, and if you walk underneath the tunnel that you can see there, there's a trapdoor that used to be used for loading and unloading directly onto the barges. This is the old pumping station, and it's a sewage pumping station, and this is where the canal actually goes over the River Trent. So they built a bridge and built a canal over the top of the Trent.
Well, we're well out of Worksop now. It's getting nice and quiet again. The path has reverted to grass, but because it doesn't get a lot of footfall on it, it's quite firm underfoot. It's not bad at all. Now, coming to the lock at the back of Manton Club, it used to be called Manton Miners Welfare. It's where all the miners used to go and drink cheap beer and stuff like that. But since all the miners have gone, well, they're no longer miners, it's now a sports and social club. But this lock is very remote. There's not a lot of people around here, and over the years there's been quite a few kids drowned in this lock. They've come from the local village, which is probably about half a mile down there, and when the weather's nice they've gone swimming and things in the lock, and unfortunately there's been one or two of them drowned in there. So, bit of a sad place, really. I don't know how many there has been over the years, but I know there's been at least 2 or 3, I think. Yeah. But that's what happens when you let your kids run round and run wild, and the kids get themselves into trouble and get themselves into something that they can't get out of. Anyway, I'm coming to near the end of the walk now. 0.6 of a mile left as the crow flies. So, not long. The old knee's starting to play up a little bit now. I'm starting to feel it a little bit. And of course, with the surface underfoot not being quite so good, it is pulling on the knee just a little bit. But it is very nice and very tranquil, quiet. It is very nice down here and very remote. The next section I shall walk, which will probably be, or possibly be next weekend, depending on workload and weather and things like that. I'm going to walk from where I stopped today, where the big viaduct is, railway viaduct, to Retford, well, just the other side of Retford. I think that's about a 10-mile walk, so I'm going to have a crack at that with the next walk. And I'm hoping you'll join me, not get too bored, and I'll try and fill you full of useless pieces of information about it. Right, speak to you when we get to the end. Well, that ends the walk. 8.4 miles. Oh, what's my Garmin say? 8.7 miles according to Garmin. So it's not been a bad walk. It's a railway viaduct behind me. And this is where I will start the next walk, heading towards Retford. Anyway, hope you enjoy me on the next walk, and hopefully I will see you soon.